I forget. I really forget. Well, I'd love to see it so we get more pause 5 void. Not pause 1. Buzz off with a pause 1. Pause 5 void is where it's at. I want to spread the evangel of Red Panda. That's it. That's all I want. Gotta see it, you know?
Game 1 though, Motivate Trust Gaming versus T1. Lower bracket round of 3. One of these teams is gonna have to go.
It's just ignoring Whitemon for everyone's own sanity, you know, because it's Whitemon. Funny fact, I was talking about the game chat a while ago in the draft. You remember B1 and B2, Fearless and Masaros? Right as we went into the game, Fearless and Masaros had a disconnect. So, you know, they're joined at the hip. Those two, B1 and B2, same bunch of bananas there. We'll see if they go in sync this time. You know, last time around, their movements were really clean for Motivate Trust. Again, big question still on Toy, despite all the positivity. You never know. Have they played enough with Toy? Can they readjust compared to Jackie? We'll just have to wait and see.
That we will, John. Very excited to see this debut here on Motivate Trust. I'm sure Jackie's somewhere watching right now, tuning into the game hopefully, cheering on his team.
Seconds to battle.
Probably shouting at his phone as well, just based off what Motivate Trust does. So, T1, bit of a dance party in the high triangle, nothing wrong with that. It's like Motivate Trust, they start try. What is it, John? What are they doing now?
Sticker war, chillin' loser from Carl and Whitebond.
They're gonna fight over this bot bounty, it looks like. Zephyr and Cuckoo are around. You've got to be a little bit wary of that Earth Spike and the skewer back. Toy. Wraith by Blast is there. Will be 3 for 1. So Motivate.
You should have known.
Pretty solid start for them with a 3 bounty rune trade. T1, they don't look too bothered by this. I mean, they do have a draft where you are going to take some time to be up and online. You probably don't want to give any advantage away to Motivate if you can avoid it. So I can respect the fact that they just don't want to give that first blood gold away right now.
Yeah, I get it. What I did not expect was it's actually Masaros on Lina. I was assuming mid Lina this entire time. It's off lane Lina. With a clockwork here on Q. They are laning up against Savage and Whitemon, and this should be a pretty annoying lane for Savage regardless. Masaros, of course, once he gets the levels and the Fiery Soul, you trade right clicks. It's a good time. You can melt through the Lina, the Spectre quite nicely. Q is the one that's going to have a rough time here. Up against an Enchantress, you can't really just run up, proc the Battery Assault, and hope for the best. Early leveling the impetus here for Whitemon just means harassment's going to be a bit more difficult. And we have seen Whitemon on the edge quite a few times. He knows how to play the hero on edge. He knows when to dip out to just secure the jungle and stack up. And that should be just one very solid way for them to start getting some build up in the jungle down the line for 23 Savage.
Absolutely. Over in the mid lane, of course, you've got Carl there against Fearless. Should be quite a passive kind of lane. I suppose Fearless could still manage to pick off Carl here on the DK because he does have a lot of magic damage.
Look at that.
You see that Caustic Finale and the Burrow Strike now out. T1 Tower, though, going to really do quite a bit back the way of Fearless. In fact, now they actually might kill each other. Carl, he's gone too far, but no. He gets the Fairy Fire off. Both mid laners, very low HP. What I was trying to say, John, is Fearless will have plenty of magic damage, and as you saw, even with that level 1 Caustic Finale, it is quite a lot of harass the way of Carl.
Yeah, it's just not fun for the DK. Melee matchups never good against the Sand King. Fearless just getting a lot of farm here. Just has to watch how far he overextends. Does have the bottle up, so you can sustain that harassment even more. And I think the one advantage you have as Sand King in the matchup is wave clear and jungle camps as well. Like Sandstorm is a lot stronger than Breed Fire, so Fearless, even in a very static lane like this, can still build a lead out with his small camp.
Oh, another Burrow Strike. Won't lead to much though this time. Of course, bot lane, final lane we haven't discussed too much. Zephyr and Cuckoo going to be there against Set Zero and Toy. Cuckoo having a pretty excellent time right now on the Magnus, because you are going to be able to see us very well with that Empower. And I mean, in terms of kind of fighting back, there's not really too much Motivate can do right now. Even with the levels up, I think you still have to be very wary of Zephyr and Cuckoo here with this line. Magnus, they're going to try get a bit of harassment out. Stroke of Fate actually off the mark. They think he may have been aiming for the range creep anyway. I think apart from that little combo you just saw, not too much you can do to really harass out Cuckoo right now.
Nice. Gonna have a stable time farming up. You always worry about Earth Spike into Skewer, so you can't really posture too aggressively there like this.
Yeah, you called it, John. There it is, Toy. On back, Hex is out. They're going to try and body block Toy, taking a fair bit of damage, but will eventually get the stun off onto Cuckoo. Still another Earth Spike is there. Zephyr Shockwave. Oh, they were right on the edge with that one, but they do manage to get the first blood gold the way of Zephyr. Of all people, they do pick off Toy.
That's gonna really slow down the Raid King. Already missing out on a lot of CS. Huge wave as well. Good job from Set0 to pull the wave all the way back. Trying to give some time for the Raid King to come back in, but this is already a great start for T1. We mentioned the draft being greedier. If Cuckoo gets off a start like this, he's not gonna miss his timings too much despite being on the off lane.
3 Savage, top lane, gonna try and go onto Q. Masteros gonna make sure he does remain protected. Back at mid for a second. Very even between these two, and I suppose that was to be expected. I'll actually find himself in front in terms of CS right now on that DK. I think you are well and truly at the stage now where you just can't kill each other. I mean, level 3 Dragon's Blood, yeah, you have the magic damage, but Carl, he's just so tanky. Already 1.1k HP at 4.5 minutes. Gillis, even with the Epicenter, I honestly don't think he'd have anywhere near enough.
No, he's just gonna go into farming. And it's at that point where it gets boring. It gets a bit more exciting for Carl, because Dragon Form can look to push in that mid-tier 1. So that's going to be a good time for T1 to kind of look for maybe an early rotation out with Whitemon, get some damage on the tower, force a response out from Motivate Trust. Overall, rather even start from both sides. 0-1, less than 1k lead standing here for T1. Big differences in the pause ones, but it's not too far apart, all things considered. Low Q.
Yeah, he rushed forward there with the battery assault onto Whitemon. Yeah, and he's going to be able to get away thanks to the cogs blocking that tree line. But every lane is quite passive at the moment. It's one of those stages of the game where you just gotta secure CS. No need to try and force a fight. Neither team's willing to give the advantage away. Even at this bot lane. I mean, we saw the first blood happen here, but that was quite on the edge. Looks like Motivate, they won't be really attempting to take any risks here with Cuckoo and Zephyr anymore. They can play it much safer. But as I say that, they're going to make the jump in onto Cuckoo now. Wraith Fire Blast, but there's your skewer back to the low ground. Still, Toy is more than happy to try and fight this one out as the Stroke of Fate does land, and Cuckoo does take a substantial amount of damage. But he has the 2 tangos. He's going to be just fine. He'll get a free reset here underneath that tier 1 tower.
Yeah, not going to be too bad for him. He's getting a lot of space for the EXP gain. That's the big thing here for Cuckoo, about to hit 5. He's going to have maybe the 2-2-1 build or the 3-1-1 build for more Shockwave on hand. And once you have the RP, that's when it can get a bit scary. You can just chain stun with your line double stun and just kind of hammer in that kill before level 6 comes out for Toy. Toy's not going to have that early mana pool as well for Reincarnate just because he's playing against Line. So even if you hit 6 here on Toy, it's not a guarantee he's going to live through a gank attempt.
Absolutely not. Whitemon, he's got that ensnare creep now. Very powerful creep to try and set up a gank at this top lane. Q going in for the battery assault. He's the one that's been caught out. And now Masaros moving in for the Light Strike array, but he can't quite get in range for it. The Dragon Slave, though, will prove to be enough. Nice little setup there from Q, and a bit unfortunate for Whitemon. He was trying to micro the creep down the river to sneak up behind Masaros, but unfortunately for him, Q does spot him out before he can actually get the ensnare off.
Yeah. Just a lot of aggression now coming out with the levels here on Motivate. They trap Savage.
Yeah, that's a big one. He just used the dagger as well. Kong's pushback is there. Q wants to dive, and they've got the Laguna. Great pick off there from Motivate Trust as T1. Yeah, it's a hard lane to run, even with the Enchantress. It's still a Spectre. There's only so much you can do. So when Whitemon's not around, Savage is going to be very, very open to just kill off like that.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they went for the Laguna instead of the Dragon Slave. Feels like there was enough damage to just melt him through. Doesn't matter, you get the kill in the end. I think for Whitemon now, what he has to start considering is stacking up the jungle. Maybe it's a bit early, there is a ward watching for Motivate Trust, so they will be aware if jungle stacks are built. You kind of just want to ensure his Spectre will have a lot to clear out. They do build up a lot of stacks here on the triangle side on the large camp, and Cuckoo's just clearing it out really quick. Has the arcane boots to sustain his mana use, and no one's stopping him from Motivate Trust. So despite, again, being a Magnus, not really being the most active laner, he's still getting a ton of space out, and I'm surprised Motivate Trust aren't really able to punish that.
Well, it's one of those things, right? Like T1, they have a 3-core lineup that can all carry the game. I think that's what we mentioned in the drafting stage as well as T1. They're going to have a pretty powerful late game. You've just got 3 heroes that you need to try and watch out for Motivate Trust. Whereas Motivate, they have their one solid carry in Toy, and I suppose Masteros can transition into a carry on the Lina as well. But more than likely, you are going to be heavily reliant on Toy having a good game. His top lane, Masteros, but Earth Spike there, but Q was rushing forward to try and get the battery assault off. So Masteros will remain fine. Got a bit of an aggressive tri-lane running here now for Motivate. Savage, he is going to start making his way back over to the jungle now, understanding that they are going to come in. However, Carl has rotated on the Dragon Knight. Try to go off the clockwork. Q, so he understands he's probably going to die, but it's a great cogs out. It just won't matter as Whitemon have the impetus shot.
And that's a good rotation coming out from Carl. The big difference again with the Sand King versus DK. Dragon form lines up for kills. Fearless, because he knows Epicenter is probably not going to do much, doesn't have it. So he's going for the passive farm buildup. Not really able to clear out the creep wave as well. Great denies coming out from Carl. So he's finding everything on DK so far. And they could maybe look to shove in the mid. There are support rotations in for Motivate though.
Fearless for a strikeout. Inkswell is there. Carl, Dragon Tower is going to be enough to get him away from the Inkswell, but they've got the cogs off. Light Strike already landed to boot, but it's not enough damage, so now they might be able to turn around, try to force the fight with Motivate. They decide better on, but they do back off. Again, I think their draft isn't so suitable to try and force these big team fights yet. So as long as everyone survives on T1, they should be more than happy.
Yep, and they're just stalling out the push. T1 though can just kind of keep shoving it back. They are buying a ton of space out for their Spectre. Savage just playing in that jungle. He looks to be building the Echo Saber up, so he's going to have some early activity with a Haunt once that's up and running, and they haven't expended that first Haunt. So very disciplined from Savage to just wait for that big item buildup.
That means go, and he will eventually type out the G. Very nice.
Yeah. Yep, at least we can understand that. One still smoke play out. Q has the hook. They just need the angle.
Carl. Yeah, Carl's the smoke already, and I don't think that's a target they could really kill off. They're going to try. Hood shot is off the mark. Zephyr now ready to turn with the Earth Spike. You've still got Carl around for the damage, and he's got the Dragon form back up now. Again, it seems like T1 are just not interested whatsoever in trying to force the fight. I think if they back off, they're happy. That's about all they want. Still accumulating much more farm. Speaking of farm though, Toy does now have the armlet up. So you are still getting this Wraith King farmed up as well. The real question is it going to be able to kind of deal with the 3 cores that are probably going to be just as farmed on T1? That's an answer we're going to have to wait and see for.
Yeah, it depends on Radiant's timing. I think if you hit it at maybe 17 to 18, you're pretty happy. But it feels like on Wraith King Radiance, it's really more of a farming tool. Your damage output's nice, your presence in the middle with your 2 lives and Radiance burn throughout that is great. Although smoke play here, Fearless.
I'll take it.
They wanted Cuckoo, but he skewered out. No real stacks to be taken either, unfortunately for Motivate Trust.
Strike fast.
Now the counter smoke T1, they know exactly where they are. TP's down to the bot lane. Looks like they want to try and defend, but the tier 1 tower's already gone. They're still going to force a Carl. Jumps in onto Masteros. That Lina is going to melt very fast. Savage, he tried to juke out the Light Strike Array, but it won't matter. They still got the kill onto the Wraith King now. Toy, he's in big trouble. Set Zero is being controlled up by Carl, just making sure that Toy has no helping coming.
I
That'll be the first life. Q now from the side. Burrow Strike. Epicenter is there. It's going to be onto Carl, but he is taking literally no damage. It tickled him. He took nothing. This Fearless is going to try him back now. Cuckoo, RP still up. He won't throw it out yet. Fearless stuck in the sandstorm, but they've got the vision. And eventually they've got the kill. As Q is still trying to go in onto Savage. They've got the Spectre low, but not quite low enough. He's still alive as Cuckoo. He's still holding on to the RP. You've still got that big ultimate ready to go whenever. Toy gonna back off with that secondary life. He doesn't have reincarnate. His Masteros has been caught by the stun. Buyback is there by Q. Looks like they are gonna be able to get Lina. Now the RP's out. A very nice RP, but it's not enough. Cuckoo, he's going to be the one to die as Toy gets the kill.
Ooh.
T1, I mean, it was a good fight for them, but it's still a great fight. I mean, 4 for 1. I can't say it's bad just because Cuckoo died at the end.
Yeah, that's still really good. Just a bit messy coming out from Motivate. Fearless, he was forced to jump the DK because of how far forward Carl was, and he just won't melt. He has too much HP, too much regen on hand. Epicenter level 1, probably one of the worst feeling ultimates ever. Right, and even the scaling doesn't feel amazing. 10 damage each. The pulses are nice, but you just can't really handle the DK. So Fearless has to look elsewhere for the target to melt down. Great fight from T1. And the coordination's lining up, and Savage, because he has the Echo Saber, just does so much damage when he does get the Haunt off, and they just manage to clean up. Motivate, they've got some stacks to clear out. They need to just give Toy space to breed. You really just rush this Radiance ASAP and try to get even more on field. So I think once you have the travels on the Sand King, it is easier for him to just TP into a fight, find a good position for the Blink Burrow Strike, and kind of just run from there. Before that point, it's very hard to angle your shots here, and T1, they know they're strong. They just smoke up again, no RP, no Haunt, but it doesn't really feel necessary against some of these softer heroes, especially the off-lane Lina. It's just, they don't really have the big frontliners ready to go here on Motivate Trust side.
They're not going to find anyone. Blink in from Carl, expecting someone to be around, but nobody quite there. It's a little bit unfortunate for them, because Toy was making his way up towards that top lane, but as he sees the blink in like that, he turns right back the other way and goes back into that triangle.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Motivate there. Be able to survive another day, keep Toy up, and well, Toy top of the net worth board right now on this Wraith King, doing a really fantastic job. There's not much in the way of keeping up with him at the moment. He's just well and truly ahead of everyone else.
Quite fine.
In trouble. Gonna be a slower kill, but no, it's still pretty darn easy. I suppose you have the Laguna if you really needed it there on Masteros, but he does not.
And it's a nice little pick off to get. Not the biggest kill. Still kind of sets up. Masteros is rushing the BKB next on Lina. So you only really need to start worrying about RP at that point once the BKB is up. Still a ways off, but he is doing some good damage. He's very quick with the travels up. Very hard to catch out unless you get that nice Hex off. They are looking to apply pressure on the mid. It's a little bit steady. The numbers are there from T1. You can't fully clump up because of that threat of RP from Cuckoo. He's got the blink up as well. So a bit more cautious for Motivate. They're just trying to posture but not fully commit. So just to put some pressure on T1. It's not stopping Savage. Like, he has massive agent stacks and power again, kind of fixing the shortcoming of the Spectre and flash farming here.
Absolutely. Yeah, a much faster process with that Empower here on Savage. They've got the Haunt back up as well if they want to try and force a fight, but it looks like they're not quite ready for that. Now Blink on the way for Zephyr to boot. Definitely happy days right now for T1. Toy though, Sacred Relic up. Going for that Radiance recipe next. And that'll be another power spike for Motivate to try and capitalize off.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
He's even just going to TP down to the mid lane, not risking his life. He really doesn't want to die right now. No need to delay this Radiance. He probably will be allowed to take this for free. I mean, T1, they're not interested in trying to force a fight. So Toy's definitely going to have the Radiance. I imagine Motivate try to smoke up right after that.
Yeah, That should be the timing they play for. I just worry about smoking into that RP, smoking into the Haunt. It's not a very easy team fight for Motivate Trust. They have to find their targets well. They do have good deep wards. A couple of nice wards by the lane up top, by the jungle up top. So they can kind of get a rough idea as to where T1's playing by virtue of that. They just need to have a little bit more patience. And for the most part, they are keeping it in check. They're still within 1k of T1, so despite having that empower to flash farm under 3 heroes, they're not really able to pull off a big lead. And that is good news for Motivate as, again, they're just waiting for some of these spikes to be up. They're constantly grouped up as 3 or 4 though.
Yeah, nice skew on Cuckoo. They can't see Q, but they've got the dust there from Zephyr. They'll have it. Finger out. Nice little finger stack there for Zephyr as well. Carl will take the kill happily on the Dragon Knight. So it's not too big of a deal, but it is going to open up that mid T1 tower now. T1, they do have the dragon form up, and of course they'll probably want to pop it. They'll hit out the glyph though.
Structures are fortified.
In fact, they may not even need the dragon form, but they are going to use. Yeah, just make sure you really secure the tower. Fearless, looks like he's setting up for an epicenter initiation. We saw it last time on Carl, and it just didn't do much damage.
Under attack. Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
They're going to use it, Carl. Now this time around it does do quite a bit of damage. He does take him out. In fact, Whitemon on the side also gets caught out by Masaros. So there you go. Apparently level 2 is where it's at.
Just enough damage flying out. I think the key thing was that T1 was very split up, so it was much easier to focus on that DK. Much more heroes from Motivate can focus their damage in, and they are going for that counter push now. Going to take that mid tier 1 in trade. No defense here from T1 without the DK. Toy, he's got the Radiance up. Going for the Sanch next, and they're still chasing that jungle, but don't really catch anyone yet.
You still got Cuckoo with the RP, so you have to be a little bit cautious, but it seems like without Cuckoo around, they're feeling confident to try and force the fight. They will take over that dire jungle now, just kind of knocking the door down and making their way in here, Motivate. Still plenty of time here for Savage to try and secure his own farm up. It's like he is going to go into the Manta and then into the Eye of Skadi, so a pretty standard kind of build up here for the Spectre. Nothing too different happening. Carl, he's going for the Agon himself. I mean, nothing's really changed here for the Dragon Knight. You know, it's all about the Blink BKB and then the Ags. Doesn't really need any items after that. He's happy. In fact, we've seen just after the Ags, some DKs just go for a Moonshot.
Yeah, just attack speed, whittle away with your breath. Smoke out from T1, 4-man. They can just haunt in with Savage. If they find a good angle for that RP, this could be big.
That smoke's going to be pretty obvious now, but QE still runs forward. Haunt is there. Should at least have the clockwork. Haunt into the backside as well. They're trying to get the clockwork to hookshot it out. Fearless, he's going to turn around now. Carl, he pops the BKB toy. He's going to try and back. He does have that reincarnation. Cuckoo going to skewer him back, make him further away from the team. RP there as well. They got both of them, but now the double Laguna out from Masteros and Set Zero. They're going to turn around with another Burrow Strike there from Fearless, and they're cleaning up. They well and truly clean up here, Motivate Trust. A 4-for-nothing trade. They only got the reincarnate, and it's into the Roshan for Motivate.
That was very on the edge for Toy. He was empty of mana. He had stick charges. They're doing a good job with Zephyr trying to just drain down that Wraith King. Just wasn't enough. He couldn't get the second mana drain off. And now Roshan for Motivate Trust. Potentially 3 lives out for Toy, but they're probably going to hand it to Masaros, and they do. So their Lina's protected now to get the damage off. Love the build here on Masaros. Right after BKB into the Crystallis. He understands that while the Wraith King's strong now, your big right-click damage dealer as this game really scales on is likely Lina. She's got the range, she has the nice steroid and fiery soul, just needs a crit stick into the Daedalus. So we'll see how fast Masaros does get that up. T1, they blew a lot of their big spells. No RP for a minute, no Haunt for a minute 10. That's some downtime for them. They just have to go back to farming. Maybe once you have the Skadi up and Savage, it starts to feel a lot better, but that fight was certainly a bit forced. They just jumped onto Q first. Not the ideal target, I think. Like, ideally, you might want to kill off Fearless or Masaros first, but they did a great job there in Motivate Trust to really split up around that ramp area.
Certainly did. 3k net worth lead now for Motivate Trusters. The SNY going to be built up now on Toy, looking stronger as time goes on. And Masaros definitely looking quite scary himself in this Lina. T1 back to the drawing board for them. And you saw Savage in that last team fight. He just didn't feel quite tanky enough. Still farming well, but still, even with the Empower, not really able to keep up with the Wraith King, who just has that inbuilt farming tool with the skeletons. And, well, of course, on top of that now with the Armlet Radiance, does tend to escalate the farm quite a bit. I wonder what he does pick up after the SNY now for Toy.
There are lots of options. You could maybe start thinking about just an AC, tank up the front line, and kind of remove the right-click damage that can come out from T1 with a spec. Could be one route, and just make some tankier to commit on, although...
T1 gonna reveal Cuckoo has TP to the T2 tower. They might still want to try and force this, but without the proper vision, they're gonna take their time. Rocket Flare back up in a couple seconds will give the vision they require. There you go, they'll see everybody. Carl, he just ran out of dragon form. It could be a nice time for Motivate, but they don't seem to want to try and force a fight by the tier 2. Instead, they are going to find Cuckoo, but a quick blink out. Hook shot off the mark as well. So they won't really get anything.
Good attempt on the hook. I believe that was blind. Didn't have the rocket flare up. No vision there. So just missing out on a kill, but they will get to shove the mid tower just a bit, getting some good chip damage off. You do still maintain that 2k lead on Motivate. Not far ahead enough for T1 to feel worried. They're still farming up nicely here on Savage, but they are lagging behind Toy. 3k ahead on the Wraith King compared to the DK and the Spectre. Even Masaros is keeping up with those two big cores. So I think the farm distribution is going a lot better here for Motivate. They understand that Fearless on his mid doesn't need too much farm. He's taking the back seat. Already has his BKB up anyway on the Sand King. You can just kind of cast the spells and just get the control off for the team. Rely more on Masaros and Toy to clean up. T1 for their part, farming in the bot jungle area. They know their top has been invaded, and they're just going to try to maybe apply pressure on the lane, look for a tower push. They do still have the DK form. The damage is really good with Empower, but they have to be careful about going for the trades. Top tier 2 will be pressured. T1 will smoke in response and maybe look for a wrap from behind.
Top tier 2 though, still dropping. Walking through the long way. Of course, Savage can just haunt in for the fight, so he doesn't need to make his way over. Cuckoo, the smoke's still up, staying hidden. Who's the target though? They don't want to go on the Wraith King first. They want the backline support. So they do find set 0 and Savage immediately in with the haunt. Hook shot was there. Wipe on. It doesn't connect anyway. Set 0. He does end up dropping. Now they've got Q on the cogs. However, Toys jumped in. They've got Zephyr. The Lion's down. Cuckoo to back off. Savage moving back in. Carl, however, does get Q on the clockwork. A very split kind of team fight, but for now it is still favoring T1. Buybacks are going to be bought out. They even found the Aegis on Masaros. Just avoiding the Wraith King altogether. RP won't be out yet. Cuckoo, can he get it out in time? They just perma-stun him up. MP centers out. There's the RP. Just in the nick of time as Savage. He can get to work with the Empower. He just shreds through Fearless. And now they get the reincarnation into the real-life Toy. I don't think he can run out of this. He will try, but they have plenty of control for the Wraith King. And T1, they're going to be able to clean up, Motivate, Trust. It was a minimum 4 heroes going down, but I believe set 0 did go down at the start of the fight. And it was indeed a full team wipe.
Well played from T1, saving that RP till the end. They didn't feel pressured. They did split up a lot better. So Motivate Trust were much more scattered as well. They couldn't focus in their damage on one hero at a time. And losing the Grimstroke early hurt them. They really relied on the Soulbind double silence and the double stuns and the double Lagunas to actually get some good damage spread going. T1 finding the big target with a jump in from Carl really turned that fight around. And Motivate Trust have to be a bit cautious. Game evens out 11-11 with a 1k lead for T1. Lots of wins here at the 27-minute mark. And T1, they've kind of narrowed the gap with Savage and Toy, even Carl. Just 2k ahead on Wraith King. He is going for the AC next, as I mentioned. So he's just going to tank up, try to get more attack speed, maybe save his team out from the physical damage coming through from T1. I think what we really need to look at is Masaros. He's got the Crystallis up. just straight Daedalus next into Satanic and Aeon Disc. So they should start shifting that farm priority towards the Lina. And Masaros is doing a good job of farming up. Once he has that Daedalus, we've seen a lot of games turn on the Daedalus Lina. Masaros just needs to protect himself until that big item spike here.
Yeah. A lot of damage, that's for sure. The T1, it's getting very clear now the T1 is finally starting to come online. That last team fight, again, they just kited out the Wraith King over and over again, and it just didn't feel like they could ever really fight back on Motivate. The strength of T1 is just forcing the split kind of team fight here as TP's up top. They've got Haunt again. They can certainly sort of fight, and Carl, he's going to jump in for the blink now, and there's your Haunt down immediately on Masaros, who wasn't expecting the rotation in. Fearless, he's already lost the Aeon Disc proc as well. He is going to try and blink out in time. Q. Spectral Dagger's going to connect. They should have the clockwork kill. And they will. The fingers there from Zephyr. In fact, Carl looking for more now. Does get the hit up on Set Zero. The slow is just so high. Set Zero will be the third casualty. T1 so dominant now. We're passing the mid game. Motivate Trust, they've kind of lost their footing in this game one.
It's just that the Spectre's way too big to handle. The initiation coming out from T1's way too smooth with Carl up front, and they just have all the follow-up. As long as Haunt is up, anyone Carl jumps is more than likely dead, and Motivate Trust has to respect that. They can't have their Lina up front like that. She has most damage, although Fearless.
Oh, he's gonna find Zephyr.
Dire's top tower
With the BKB, gets a nice kill onto the support line. So I think T1, I mean, you got the line, but I don't think they're going to be too concerned unless they lose more, and Q is looking. Shot is up. Seems like they were trying to target Whitemon, but he's going to be out of range now. Perhaps they could try to force a smoke here with Set Zero. Still got 45 seconds without that line, and they are going to go for a smoke now with the line being drawn out right towards Cuckoo. Whitemon is in position to break the smoke and will. Masaros going to back off, and immediately Cuckoo is out of there to boot.
Great game sense from T1, great positioning to break the smoke. Motivate Trust now can't really do much. They just have to go back to farming, have to go back to building up. This is buying time out for the Dragon Form to be back up, and Carl is down south. Not the target they'd want, but looks like T1 might collapse into them here.
I mean, Carl's moving in. They've got 15 seconds for that line. Fearless has been spotted by Whitemon. Who are they actually targeting? They stun up the Wraith King. Toy, again, is probably going to be ignored here as Set Zero does reveal his position. With the Soulbind, he's going to force stuff down to the low ground. You've got that RP available. Cuckoo looking for it, but no, the Burrow strikes there in time. Light Trickery out as well. They want to burst down the mag, and they will get him. But now Masaros is in big trouble. Savage, he gets the kill, moving in for more. They'll take down Set Zero. Q conks out, but Toy, he's lost his first life. Now they can focus down the Wraith King. Carl's proving to be a pretty big issue. With all this slow on this Ancient Black Dragon,
where are you going?
It's so easy to kite out the side of Motivate, and it looks like they're about to find a fourth hero now. They will even get Q down to the clockwork. The only survivor is Fearless on the Sand King, and he's gone for a run right onto the opposite side of the map.
It's difficult for Motivate. Every single time Haunt's off, they just managed to jump the Lina. I don't think you even care about the Wraith King at this point for Motivate. You need Masaros more than anything else, and he just gets focused on by Savage. He doesn't have a Force Staff. Could be useful to save the Force Staff on Set Zero to just get Masaros to a better position. Once the Haunt's up, and even then, Savage can just chase down, and it's just very awkward for Motivate to fully commit. T1 into the Roshan. Roshan number 2, Aegis Cheese, Ag Shard for the taking. Savage, he's got the damage, he's got the sustain to just rip right through by himself. And Motivate Trust are lagging behind now. 5k behind, 13 to 18, 32 minutes in. I don't know how you handle this Aegis on Savage. You can't kill him once, kill him twice is an even taller order, and he's even going to have the Ag Shard if he wants it here for the Dispersion cast, so a lot more coming out for T1. Motivate Trust, the AC was ditched by Toy, he's going for the BKB instead, So he could stand and fight. The RP is still going to make short work of that. The Daedalus is up on Masaros, so his damage is up. The issue is he dies too fast. They need to find a way to protect Masaros when the Haunt's up, otherwise this Daedalus is not going to do much for him.
No, certainly not. And look at that line being drawn out from T1 now. Right to the Lina. It seems like they just want that tier 2 bottom tower to drop as well. Motivate, they did manage to get the top tier 2 tower. Just off the back of Fearless being very patient at that top lane. Just waiting out the TP out from Savage. Mid lane, Smoke Q is going to be caught. Nice hex there from Zephyr and the Haunt in as well. In fact, that's just a shadow step because we do have the Aghanim Scepter up on 23 Savage. So Haunt is still available.
Yep, and that Haunt's going to be really big. Again, just ripping through Lina. Takes out a lot of damage. Fearless up top. They did manage to get Hex, but no follow-up. They are still getting that push going on T1's end. Bot tier 2 gone. Bot jungle just entirely under the control of T1. And with that Aegis up for a very long time, I think they can start thinking about high ground now.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Savage is going to start moving in. Fearless, he's going to start pushing the top lane out, but Zephyr's there, and they're going to shadow step in again. Aeon Discord, he procced BKB. He's going to allow him to TP up. Savage, he rejoins the team. Shadow step is a very fun ability to have on the Spectre.
It's just so good in getting that split aggression off. And now the high ground, RP still up. They've got the full Haunt still ready. I'm not sure what Motivate Press can do. Maybe if we get a good skewer.
Oh, nice skewer. Toy, he's going to be alright. He'll go for the stun. He'll try to fight this one out. He still has those 2 lives. Haunt has been committed. No, it's another shadow step. They still have the Haunt up. Toy is copping a lot of damage now. He needs to find a way out, but he will lose the first life. They need to help him. He'll BKB, he'll go for a run, but the RP's there, Cuckoo. He'll hold him down longer. Toy still trying to run. Dagger out, Inkswell there. Burrow, Epicenter is in from Fearless, but Savage, he still kills off 23 Savage. Meanwhile, Masteros has been caught out in Toy. He does die to Carl. I believe it was just the splash damage.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Just too much.
Radiant's middle barracks.
Just too much.
Into the fountain.
Run up.
Savage, he's just going straight fountain now. Earthspike is there. They do kill off Q. They'll lose the Aegis, but there's no buybacks available right now for Motivate. So T1, well, they might not be able to go for T4s or Megas. There are still out of towers. And now they have lost the Aegis. But they are still going to have at least 1 Rax advantage. More than likely 2.
Yeah, and you're seeing the shortcomings of Motivate Trust. They had much better spacing there. They did prevent the Haunt from just immediately bursting the Lina, but they couldn't really line up their shots in one hero. They were too scattered out this time.
He has a Divine Rapier. Carl's bought a Divine Rapier.
Oh! Yeah, that explains that.
Yeah, I was wondering why he was hitting so hard. But there you go, Divine's up. So I guess they are going to T4 towers. Into the Ancient. Fearless, nice burrow onto 3 with the 3-man Inkswell, but where's your damage follow-up? It's just not there. Hook shot in from Q, going to catch out Zephyr on the line, but that's not going to matter as now Carl will just get right to work. Look at the splash. Masteros, he almost dies to it. Horn toss up, Masteros back into the fountain, but the damage is just way too high. Toys trying, but they call it. GG will play T1. They had a game plan and they made it work.
Yeah, that was probably the best we've seen T1 ourselves since group stages. This is the T1